Alrighty, so now let's build a new folder, 13 loops and arrays. By the way, these should always be dashes, no spaces, and generally lowercase. Okay, set up your normal files and add a readme. Okay, so last time we left off, I will have hopefully it will be interesting to see how you approached the issue and how you fixed it. And if it was my way, that's again okay. So now let's talk about this array a little more because what I showed you how to do here was just to push, and I showed you introduce the idea of just pushing it in. Now we could talk about the way it pushes it in. As a matter of fact, let's just look at it. It's already run. Okay, we'll go over to sources, click on main. At this point, the page is fully loaded. We see the output here. So what we can see is when it pushed in that 24, right? Pushed because it's pushing the miles per gallon and it's pushing the trip cost. So it pushed these values. So this is these positions, but it pushed these together and then it pushed these together. And I don't mean pushed them together as in made them one, meaning it ran the method called push. And in that method, because we were passing two values, okay, this was the zero index, and I showed you this before, the first index, the second index, and the third index. But the way we pushed it two variables at a time. Now, why am I telling you this? Just because I want you to start understanding that how arrays or how they store the data that's inside of them. And as an example, now this is not necessarily right what but I want you to know you could if you ever needed to, because there may be times you need to. I could say my array and then I could specify, all right, how about the zero entry? What if I wanted to say equals, right? So what we know what equals will do in this case, right? Because we're going to remember the whole initialize, declare, assign thing, right? So let's say we wanted to assign it a value of, let's say, 300. Now, 300 wouldn't make sense, but I just want to show you here's what would happen is it will do it. And if I just type my array, you can see what happened here, right? We did it in place. We assigned a new value into that array position index, okay, of 0. And you'll have to think about based on the way you want to store the data if something like that would make sense. In this case, it wouldn't, okay, because it's not based on our calculation. But more than anything, I just wanted you to know that you can. Now, having that knowledge, having just that piece of knowledge that you can update these values, right? Can you see a benefit to doing that? And you have to think about that based on the way you've done it. But can we? Okay, so now that I just wanted to, because I realized I didn't say that when we were first talking about it, and I'm going to clear it. So, but now my question is based on this data, can we or how could we calculate the average miles per gallon for these two trips? Is there a way we could do it? Okay, sure. Okay, we could do constant calculate average MPG. Let's make it a little easier on ourselves, right? It is a arrow function. It is a named function. Okay. In this case, what we'd want to do is set up average MPG, okay, equals. Now, what does it equal? Right, looking back at the array. Now, remember, in code, when we're looking at it in VS Code here, we can't see those values. We know we're calling these functions to determine the miles per gallon, right? So here we can't really see them, but we know when we're in DevTools, we absolutely can. Okay, so what would the average miles per gallon be? Would be 24, so the zero position, 27, the second position, and what's average? Take those two, add them together, and divide by the number of items in, that we're determining average with, right? So how would we do that? We'd say my array, okay, the zero position plus, okay, my array the second position. Now, if this gets confusing, go back to DevTools and look at it, right? And then I would tell these two. Now, this is where, right? I want to help my order of operations a little bit. Want to make sure they do. Now we could determine if, right, and then divide by 2. Because what do we know about the order of operations, right? It would try to do this. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so now that we've determined that, could we just call update DOM and pass in average MPG? Will that work? Will this code do anything? Okay. I see my, let's see, let's refresh here, make sure it's here. Input arrays, that's right. That's right. Make sure I've called it, set up live on the right one. Oh, I haven't. I just realized that. I'm actually running last week's. No wonder it looked funky. Or the first one on this week. Oh, that's so funny. Okay. Was I coding on this one? Yeah, I was coding here. Oh, actually, I wasn't. Oh, that's funny. Let me just take this code, my bad, into here. There we go. Okay, try that again. Okay, reload. Oh, I gotta stop live server and start it again on 13. There we go. Set up DevTools. Very cool. Always good to see here. Okay, cool. Right? So I see the function. I see all the content before. I don't see any updated function or updated content, at least the average, the number. How come? Would I forget? Oh yeah, I forgot to call it. Now in this case, do I need to pass it anything? And this is a great question. Okay. Do I need to pass it anything? How does it have access to my array? Well, remember, my array is setting out on the global scope. Now, global scope means anything has access to it. What you will hear over time is people who code will say, keep everything out of global scope, okay, as much as possible. And we could totally do that, okay? But we'll see those things over time as we develop more and more skill. But let's just say here, okay, let's just call it. Any guesses what this will do? Okay. Not a number. Not a number. Why did it do that? Okay, let's use our tools. Okay, so I'm going to set my breakpoint here. I'm going to step through the code. It's referencing, why would at this point my array, the 0 position, okay, if I roll over, oh, there's nothing in there. Why is there nothing in either of those positions? It's because of where I'm calling the function. And this is part of what you start to understand about writing code in general, but now specifically in JavaScript is how things get run, because JavaScript will start at the top of your file and run all the way through. And what it's doing is it's trying to calculate average before it's done any of the other functionality here. Okay, so that's one thing. So let's fix that. So how do we fix that? Pretty simple. Just drag it down to the bottom, because we need it to have run, right? Track. I still don't like this name. I got to change it. And this is part of programming. You do things and you want to change it because you read it and you go, oh, could be better. Okay. So I've run 2 trips, right? And I don't even need this anymore. Let's just kind of for a moment get rid of that. Okay. So now let's see. Does anything get output? Oh, okay. So now we're here. Oh, I have a breakpoint. So let me just let it run. Oh, I do get it. Oh, that looks right. Yeah, 24 plus 27 divided by 2, right? By the way, you can always use 24 divided by 27. Oh, plus 27 divided by 2. Why wouldn't that work? Again, order of operations. That wouldn't work because it'd be 24 plus 27, right? Divided by 2. That's right. Okay, now, wouldn't we also give it a little more context though? wouldn't we do something like this? Wouldn't we say, okay, let's give it a template string and let's say average. Let's tell the user. Let's give the user some content because as a user, you would look at that and go, what does that mean? Doesn't mean anything, right? Average MPG. I'm going to spell it out. Miles per gallon, right? Is, and then I'm going to go $, curly, and curly. Awesome. Okay. Ooh, 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 ooh. What did I do? Oh, I forgot the end here. Oh, by the way, I did that really quick, but you may get errors like that. That's fairly common. Like here's the error, right? The error was end of line. If I click on here, it's like, what happened? Right? What look at first of all, Chrome's trying to help you. Chrome DevTools is trying to help you by making these all red. And basically, it happened right after that. And by the way, also your editor was trying to help you, which is awesome. Okay. Really more your editor probably than DevTools here. So I needed that end when you use template strings, as when you use quotes, you would need to have them both. Okay. Okay. So this is kind of a hard way to calculate. Not hard, but not flexible at all. So if you had 2,000 trips, imagine how complicated this code would get, right? Imagine in that array, you had 2,000. Okay, consider 500. 500 entries of mileage, right? That would just be so much code when really what we want to do, and this is what we'll do in the next video, is we want to iterate over, we want to loop over our arrays in order to calculate or output something. Or trust me, there's so many ways arrays are used in JavaScript. I'm showing you but one here. Okay. But in order to make this kind of a little easier, I'm going to end up in the next video kind of saying, you know what, let's tear some of this apart and maybe create two arrays. Maybe one just for miles per gallon, maybe one for trip costs so I can easily iterate over them. That's one way I could handle it to make, looping over this a little easier. Okay, let's hold it there. At this point, you just need to do a quick commit, right? The commit message I want on this one is average, code for average miles per gallon. All right, let's continue on the next one.